Here are our forward hip rocks. This stretch is going to open us up through our front side and our hip flexors. As athletes, we're looking at increasing our range and functionality so we can improve through our speed, strength, and power numbers. And as people, we're living as the statistic that as much as 85% of men and 75% of women are living and training through an anterior pelvic tilt, which is an imbalanced positioning of the hips tilting forward, which is in part caused by tight hip flexors. That gets in the way of our functional training as it changes the way our core muscles fire as a whole and is most likely keeping you from maxing out your weight room gains and could be crippling your running mechanics and much more. Anyway, to combat this muscle imbalance, we're coming into a kneeling position up on our back toes. Here we're keeping a nice tall posture, really focusing on keeping our core engaged. That's our belly tucked in, shifting into a posterior pelvic tilt, which is tucking our tailbone under. You're also going to engage your back leg butt cheek. By doing this, you'll see it won't take much of a rock to really feel your hip flexors getting a good stretch in. So we're going to get some small rocks to this position, and again we're keeping our hips square, our belly button in, tall posture with a slight chin tuck at the top. We're going to get a solid 10 rocks in on each side. And if you're feeling really tight through your hip rocks, don't feel bad about getting closer to 20 or 30 rocks to really get them opened up. I know I needed a lot more than 10 coming off 12-hour bus rides between stadiums to start feeling normal again after dragging into the hotel room, pretty much shuffling like an old man. All of your posture rules still apply, so stay tall, keep your hips square, upper body, and let them move together through your rock, and avoid any disconnects like throwing your hips out front to rock. We're trying to get your hip flexors opened up here while also training your body to be able to move through a posturally stacked and balanced position. This will also help to retrain any deficient core muscles you might have to begin to fire again through simple movements. This is the beginning of what it means for you to be able to move functionally. The posterior pelvic tilt, or tuck under of your hips, is especially important if you know or you think you might be part of the 85% of people we mentioned that are living and training through an anterior pelvic tilt. This is because the tilt forward of your hips can actually cause your glutes and core muscles around your hips to stop firing right and can become increasingly dangerous the more weights that you're pushing in your lifts and the higher impact your workouts become. So make sure you're using a phone or a camera to check out what your posture is looking like, because this is really the only way that you're going to find out if you're working through an imbalance or not. Tight hip flexors come primarily from being in the sitting position for an extended period of time. And with work, school, and a common lifestyle, it's no wonder why our hip deficiency statistic is at a whopping 85% of us. So we really need to make sure we're working to combat the muscular imbalance that comes with it from this hip opener. Lengthening your hip flexors will allow you to further get into hip extension or getting your leg behind you, and will help you get better glute activation, which means you can better power your lifts from your lower half, get a better push off when you run, and significantly reduce your risk of hip, knee, ankle, lower back pain, and much more from your training. So really hit your rocks in posture and get comfortable with your pelvic tilt and hip positioning, because they'll all play a huge part in your overall posture and performance output.